Hi folks, we're back after a few minor technical difficulties. Sit back and sit tight. We're staying up all night if we have to, and the hits just keep on rolling.
Interaction in post-Christian Middle America, exploring the fragmentation of yourself, and it occurs in an autonomous social network. The instinct to impose order when foundations have been destroyed by the educational processes.
On rolling.
That dark feels cold to me, and I'm waiting for the silence of brown leaves falling. Not a sunset flower, but still, only alive when the world begins to die. I fall through the cracks in the concrete. I watch the warehouse sway in the autumn winds that is even now only a hint, a promise of la mort petite. And while it's not quite sexual, there is a scent of sensual death these days. Let the rain come. It's only gray drizzle to accent the coffee that grows cold on this table. For so much has passed between my eyes and the black iron that has left your soul empty. Insanity dwells among the vacant lots that dot your wind-washed autumn blue eyes. The rain washes everything and leaves the sheets dirty. loneliness is all I know. How do I go beyond confession? Pagan shouts in the cooling dark. I have forgotten the laws and sacraments. The ancient discipline is fled. My wounds are poisoned. Blood drips, thick and infected, occludes my vision. After the final feast, my white chalk bones shall shine moonlit and bleached. My fading soul rejects this. Now the brutal killer, now the sadistic hunter, and I am barbarously clad in bone and feather, raw fur and skins half tanned with urine and tears. I am unrecognizable. My former friends and allies have all turned away. Disgust lines their beautiful faces. I dance beneath the stars, and by morning stain I seek out the sleepers. My aspect is fearsome. My countenance is twisted. The terminal symbol is burned onto my flesh, a holy tattoo. I clutch a final sacred icon in my twisted claws, and with this relic I beat at the skulls of the depraved. I paint my face with blood.
Thomas, and he is one. He enters and places in order with all due speed. They give him what he wants, and that is so cool. He slips a bill, for the bill, to bill. At least that's what his name tag wants you to think. Thomas is suspicious. He is one. Consider, inanimate objects rule the world, and one would suspect the toilet resents being used in such a peremptory manner to fulfill our function for the release of feces. The secret life of the common turd could be the greatest allegory ever written if we could just get beyond comparisons and double talk. Parables are the truth told as lies in such a way that we don't get the punchline. What a joke. Thomas finds a booth and sits down, but still the skin responds with a burn, an itch, and a twitch. He drinks his coffee. Only caffeine allows you to grasp the truth. Vinyl seats equals sweaty buttocks.
A respite from the faith-binding voices gives perfect absurdist symbolism in line which is greater than reality. How can we reconcile?
1, 2, 3.
Here we go again. A little walk-in emergency stands up and sits down, shuts up and speaks out, reverting to primal form, seeking justified existence among non-acceptable forms of archaic social norms and formats. Shooting up and getting down, boy. Staying cool and scamming a fix. Porking all the goods, and finally, giving it back. Giving it up. He spins round and round eternal, always trying to watch his back, never succeeding. Always placing a strong front where the weakness just vacated. Lying to himself, He tells the truth, though only I can believe it. The others assume the worst, projecting collective psychomythagas upon his malleable public face. The psychic impulse builds within his reptilian brain, flooding the cortex to focus prefrontal lobes, snapping and targeting from the third eye. He strikes out in rage, spewing violence upon indifferent crowds, inflicting horrendous wounds that nobody cares to notice. Eyes widening in disbelief, he puts a gun, self-destructive, to his head and puts to good use.
Begins to thicken. A chapter, if you will, a place to commence, but never the beginning. He stokes the old fires lingering that afternoon behind the display case. Bold strokes of vision places wandering lights beneath his glasses. Cold stories stored for the future like forgotten cigarettes. He loses breath, each manner unfolding night blossoms to caress the echo of boyhood faith. Pocket knives and bubblegum adhere to tenants that dare to manipulate his growing sense of pleasure. Rhythm slide along his teeth, aching stubble to scare a frozen tongue, cut mosquitoes in amber. He tears out pages, discards his hope, and pens another purpose for his children stillborn in blue. Screams for a little time, but petitions are lost with the tax forms. I have need of you, she used to say. He believed every sigh hid the truth. She suffered for his oxygen. Her button hose held summer in until the laughter died. Dig deep, my love, she used to say. I need a dozen cubits moved before the coffin is lost. Spade broken and feeble. I'll be here all night, he sobbed. When dawn's moisture matted grass the laughter had lost, but the coffin remained. The hole was not a nut. What with taxes and the hidden stones? Wipes the brow, soil streaks cigar smoke. I would not do this if I loved you, he used to say. Dead laughter had taken liberties with her swollen throat. She never heard the children or the scars the tires left. Neighbors fled the sandlot, and weeds dreamed of lesser nights. For a few weeks, at the very least, the coffee halted age's pen. Long lines of memory grafted to his face. With all remorse and longing, tripped up the stairs, calling, "You are not what I meant. I am not the artist. I need you. Dig my ditch, etch the stone, sing the song, light up my life." He left the attic empty, feeding on the dust. He spends the nights alone these days and sleeps beneath the cellar. They never found the body, but the laughter lingers on. magnification may not be any better, but the quantity sure as hell is. Our span of attention has been engineered to mere nanometers. Why do you think I'm writing such short chapters? Could be because of such pretentious ass. Nah. It's all temporal, it's all metaphysical, it's all a sham. I'm capable of such things. The indecisive storm surrounds the city. It makes but brief sorties into the environs of the city itself. Very strange. Camel stands beneath the awning and watches the torrential downpour. It lasts for about 10 seconds, then the sun emerges. Oh, very strange. There was a psychic in England, so he was quite certain that he could stop a train, with not with the strength of his own will. He was sadly mistaken as to the quantity of unanchored faith in human capability. He reduced free-form existence to a pink smear on the train tracks. 10 years later, I saw him in Russia trying the same trick.
Hyperactive, leather-bound fishing bones and old boats. As if connecting coherence is possible, as blank lines, blank pages, and leather sweat aches the balls and breaks 1,000 hearts. The minuets and pirouettes of prostitutes declare, it all may go on. Dada jazz, acid pennies. These are the blues that Ferlinghetti never sang, and a West Coast revival is no part of my agenda. Some blues you talk, and some blues sit, and some blues you stick in your hip pocket. Walking jeans blues for your dusty boots. Dada jazz, boom boom theology, art 101. Find Christ in this blade. No hells, boom boom, not Christ. Let's move on. Let's get beyond this boom boom room where there is non-linear time, and again, the training is complete, the waiting nearly over. Dada jazz, trumpet horn, art, God paint piano. Boom boom. Matt says abortions are sprayed paint graffiti, and he claims it says bullshit.
This is caused by a tight loop.
I am the Count. I am the Count. I am the Count. I am the Count. I am the Count.
Not a branch, not a companion, neither a wind. No hope, no milk, no carpet, neither a window, nor a violin. Not negation, not Tuesday, not the Pope, neither a wind chime, no holy days, no expressions, no cigars, neither a wind-up, clockwork, mechanical Black Forest Christmas gift.
Volume 1. People circle only to find the distorted image done predominantly and tragically so.
Chapter 12. Expository Dialogue. 1. This is confusing. Problematic. The equation will not balance, although the integers seem to bear a seeming relation. 2. He tweaks and edits and revises grammar beyond the realms of syntax. Apostrophes are a particular point of contention. 3. Yeah, but this will mess up the entire body. So, it's necessary. I don't know. 4. We are all Jonah. 5. The director scans all forms for appropriate authentication. 6. So, 3 separate axes, intersected with 3 axes, and 3 intersected with 6 are the expression of unbalanced 3's. Well, it's not that structured. Earlier attempts at communication failed as equations fail. Something more than logic is missing. Logic? I know, considered a heresy these days, although relative to what is beyond my grasp. Subjective perspective is the key. Hey, stop that. Interpretations are limited to mortal perceptions. That is to say, 8. Everyone sets the parameters of their own comfort. Quantum flux is defined by the interactions of individuals confined within the plane of communication. Without me, there cannot be another. It is all a question of grief. 9. Again, avoid the linear construct of see me. 10. There is a rock set within the city. Ages have not changed it, though it is long-wrought history. The foot of the king cries out. A blossom fades upon the faded tree. The blood of Judea feels 1,000 wild roses. Nexi, loci, foci, loci. 11. Something vaguely resembling a joke, nearer to a trick for all that we shall not caper. Capers dot the foul pasty. Thomas gags and smiles at his hosts. Almost into the shift. 12. But still, otter growths seldom occur. Each contributes according to talent. Each takes in accordance to appetite. Left, right, equal manifestation set wind of the beast. Foul, ravening feed begins. 13. Something like a series of 6s? No. Too obvious. 15. Static is piped in, micro-scrubbed through the optic perception of myriad fibers wrapped into insect cables of lust. Because I said so, punk. 17. Apparent effect always exceeds manifest causes. Random occurrence provokes a consumer response. All quotes vacate. All vacations are quoted as vocation. Number 18. Word games reveal subjective narrative structure. I'll rip off any son of a bitch in my path. 19. Library shelves bleed and wobble. Exuta literati. Whatever that means.
Rough cut, lowest bluffs. Tan and sullen, mules dancing nervously down sheer, dusty slopes. Young action-adventure heroes silently battling evil agents of mechanistic dullness beneath a pale, blistering sky larger than the universe. Heart racing, pumping madly with love for a city, which has never in its quiet, tragic history returned an ounce of love to the lost and lonely ones wandering narrow, tortuous cobblestones. Dark-browed, small and firm, buckeyes hoarded in dust-stained fingers, fine treasures for a young boy, alone and happy among bricks and books and swaying treat silhouettes of long dead and forgotten presidents. Mysterious alleys, hidden treasure-filled trash cans and coal chutes revealing the nervous illicit secrets of playmates, whose beauties roll and sagging long before my naive eyes ever caressed crumpled thighs. Further down, into the city, down, always beat in the poetic sense. Grand houses perched atop the highest, the typical piles of loam which are the soul and bones of these council bluffs, founded upon the original sin of Lewis and Clark's shell game, bigamous Mormons frozen and dying along the monstrous muddy river of which even the Indians refuse knowledge. The unfettered dignity and power of the ancient Missouri River gurgles an elegy for two cheated nations, throwing up a charnel ground for the ill-conceived and stillborn children of a third, more a culture than a cult, a fine example of middle America, middle class, middle of the road, foundations laid upon tablets of fool's gold, impetus, lust, and fractured personalities of the slave women of the Latter-day Saints. The vast sick bulk of 19th century Mormonism lie nearly dead in the frozen mud of the vast unforgiving plains. There is no forgiveness in the Midwest, only ruined and forgotten farms, and the lovely graves of nameless immigrants lost beneath the tangled grasses of the Great Plains. I was given nothing but a staple vacuum and a headache. 2 packs of smokes later, the headache was splitting words and playing hardball. Given the precariousness of my disposition, I immediately went underground and began to gather my thoughts. Slip, delirium, rocket through chasms of delirium, altruistic urges, taxed to the point of rupture. This, here, now. Is this all that there is? Is this all the thanks I get? Slip, delirium, ponder waves of chaos. Roll the ride, slicing sheer, crashing tunnels of roaring entropy. In a roaded universe, the immovable object is shit out of luck. Scratch another adage.
September 19th, 1997. And now I am finished with illness and resentment. I will no longer tend the garden of my rage. I've grown infirm on a steady diet of my own bitter fruit. Time enough to grieve and ponder as winter gathers Arctic fuel.
But for now, the air is soft and gentle as autumn sends forth invitations to walk and breathe and pray. It is early by any standards, and it is time to return to my avocation. Hours to go before it is time to work. I must adjust to exterior reality. 2 weeks are not so long, but it feels like months, so much has transpired. I am clean and sober and quietly happy, an altogether different man than I was a short month ago. Still, recovery is a slow process, and I've still 2 challenges to face. Tonight, the crowds and bustle of delirium barista, and then the judgmental temporal authority. Time enough to finish 4 years of pain and anger, betrayal and abuse. She is gone, and we are finished. Perhaps there never was love, but I know I loved her, and still, I love her as I did, but I am resolved to leave her poisoned gifts behind. I take with me Christmas lights, Easter eggs, Thanksgiving warmth, and holy days, nights of intense sensuality and deep spiritual connections, soulmates ill met, both of us sick and divorced and crippled from adolescent trauma and more tearing claws than caressing tongues. I pray the Lord for soul to keep.
The old bookstore awash with violence. This is a bad neighborhood to begin with, what with violent slashes of flesh and tongue-tinted peony bushes. The water tower focuses a blind and malignant gland upon the tower blocks below. The sign on the door is pointed and simple. Closed. The parasites rustle in the park. Time to duck on in and find Thomas or Bill or any old friend. Silence looms among the shelves and a heavy liquor odor loiters around the metaphysics section. There's a hole in the world and all my lighters are gone. Fair enough, man. Step on in or step aside. Sinking sensations sliding over bones and broken consciousness restores a sense of balance and normality.
Don't forget a flashlight.